The night of April 30th, 1996 was stormy in Manchester, Connecticut, when Doug Islib stirred from the couch to answer a commotion outside. His heart pounded as he heard the horn of his wife Gail's car blaring repeatedly. Before he could reach the door, the sharp crack of gunfire pierced the air. Doug froze, witnessing a masked figure standing by the driver's side of the vehicle, gun in hand. Instinctively, he retreated indoors to retrieve his own revolver and called emergency services.
Manchester emergency. There's a robbery here. I think somebody shot at my wife. I just saw somebody here with a mask.
By the time Manchester police officers arrived, the scene was chillingly clear. Gail, 54, was slumped across the front seat, blood pooling, glass from the shattered driver's side window littering the ground. 7 shell casings lay inside the car, the result of 5 bullets fired directly at her head at point-blank range. It was overkill, an attack that spoke of rage and familiarity. Doug's revolver had not been fired. The initial theory of a carjacking immediately fell apart. Nothing had been stolen. Detective Paul Lombardo took charge of the case, dividing his team to question neighbours while he focused on Doug. The neighbours confirmed hearing the gunshots and reported a white sedan speeding away from the scene. Doug's story that he saw a masked, light-skinned Hispanic male was inconsistent, and Lombardo noted the oddities. Gail had no enemies, and nothing had been taken from her car. It became clear this was personal. Doug, though initially a suspect due to proximity and ownership of a firearm, was soon cleared when ballistics confirmed his gun had not been fired. The detective then turned to Gail's recent behaviour for clues. Interviews with her children revealed subtle but alarming changes. She had begun covering windows with blankets, refused to let her daughter drive her car, and seemed preoccupied with safety in a way that did not match her naturally warm, trusting personality. Something had been troubling her privately. Investigators learned that Gail had been targeted in small ways before the shooting. Tyrone Montgomery, a 25-year-old Walmart co-worker, had developed an unhealthy obsession with her. Initially friendly, he had escalated to persistent advances despite Gail's polite refusals, following her on days off, attempting physical contact and even pulling a BB gun on her during a ride, suggesting in a chilling aside how easy it would be to hijack her. Gail had confided only minimally about these incidents, likely trying to protect her family from worry. Detectives visited Walmart on May 1st to interview her colleagues. Employees described Tyrone as obsessed, infatuated, and increasingly intrusive. Though Gail remained polite, the repeated harassment created a climate of danger. The investigation soon found a tangible lead. Tyrone's white sedan was impounded, and inside investigators discovered items that hinted at premeditation: latex gloves, duct tape, an ice pick, women's clothing, a cake dish, and handwritten notes. One note resembled a love letter. Another, partially burned, appeared to be a checklist for committing a crime, including instructions for disguise and gaining entry into Gail and Doug's home. Handwriting analysis confirmed the notes were Tyrone's, and the chilling contents suggested a planned attack on Doug, but one that had been altered when circumstances changed. Evidence began to mount, and the net around Tyrone tightened. Yet he was elusive. By May 2nd, police learned he had checked himself into a psychiatric hospital, claiming grief over a friend's death. Hospital staff confirmed his presence, but initially refused direct questioning. Despite Tyrone's denials, forensic analysis of items tied to him strengthened the case. Shards of glass in his boots matched the broken car window at the scene, and shell casings from his basement shooting range bore microscopic marks consistent with those found in Gail's car. His obsession was no longer abstract. It had become lethal, culminating in the night that had shattered the Islib family's life. By May 3rd, 1996, detectives had pieced together a damning case against Tyrone Montgomery. Tyrone's meticulous obsession had escalated into premeditated violence. Investigators had reconstructed his intentions. He had originally planned to target Doug, but altered his plan in a moment of panic when Gail arrived home, pressing her horn and alerting him. In that instant, obsession turned to lethal action. Tyrone was arrested on May 3rd and charged with Gail's murder. A search of his home uncovered books on disguise and how to commit murder. reinforcing the theory that he had studied methods to eliminate obstacles and manipulate circumstances to his advantage. Forensic ballistics tied his weapon purchase and subsequent modifications to the gun used in the crime. When confronted with evidence, Tyrone admitted his initial intent to target Doug, but refused to claim responsibility for shooting Gail. The authorities, however, had more than enough evidence to move forward. The trial began in September 1997. The prosecution, led by Dennis O'Connor, presented a meticulous timeline, eyewitness accounts, Gail's co-worker's testimony about Tyrone's escalating obsession, forensic evidence linking him to the crime scene, and the criminal checklist notes. Ballistics experts testified that the shell casings from Tyrone's basement matched those found in Gail's car, while glass fragments in his boots corroborated his presence at the scene. The jury heard how Tyrone had followed Doug to work earlier that day, scouting his movements, and how Gail's routine had been carefully observed. Defense attorney Stephen Cashman argued that Tyrone had never confessed to the murder, attempting to cast doubt on the prosecution's case. Yet the overwhelming physical and circumstantial evidence painted a clear picture of premeditation and intent. After just 2 hours of deliberation, the jury returned on October 1st, 1997, guilty of the murder of Gail Islib. He was sentenced to 65 years in prison. He remains incarcerated at McDougall Walker Correctional Institute, expected to be released in 2061 at age 90. This case also highlighted broader systemic failures. Walmart, where Tyrone had worked and obtained the weapon used in the crime, faced lawsuits for negligence, both for failing to address complaints about Tyrone's harassment and for mishandling the firearm sale records. While the outcomes of these suits remain unclear, they underscored the tragic consequences of ignored warning signs. Gail Islib's death remains a stark reminder of how obsession can escalate to lethal violence, and how vigilance, awareness, and timely intervention are crucial in preventing such tragedies.